I saw him before I met you, says I, sloping around by Pill Lane and Greek Street with his cod's eye counting up all the guts of the fish.
Who comes through Mycon's land, bedight in sable armour? O Bloom, the son of Rory, it is he. Impervious to fear is Rory's son, he of the prudent soul.
For the old woman of Princess Street, says the citizen, the subsidised organ. The pledge-bound party on the floor of the house. And look at this blasted rag, says he. Look at this, says he. The Irish Independent, if you please. Founded by Parnell to be the working man's friend. Listen to the births and deaths in the Irish for All Ireland Independent, and I'll thank you in the marriages. And he starts reading them out. Gordon, Barnfield Crescent, Exeter. Redmayne of Ifley, St. Anne's on Sea. The wife of William T. Redmayne of a son. How's that, eh? Wright and Flint, Vincent and Gillett to Rotha Marion, daughter of Rosa and the late George Alfred Gillett, 179 Clapham Road, Stockwell. Playwood and Risdale at St. Jude's, Kensington, by the Reverend Dr. Forrest, Dean of Worcester. Eh? Deaths. Bristow at Whitehall Lane, London. Carr, Stoke Newington of gastritis and heart disease. Cockburn at the Moat House, Chepstow. Oh, I know that fellow, says Joe, from bitter experience. Cockburn. Dimsey, wife of Davy Dimsey, late of the Admiralty. Miller, Tottenham, aged 85. Welsh, June 12 at 35 Canning Street, Liverpool. Isabella Helen. How's that for a national press, eh? My brown son. How's that for Martin Murphy, the Bantry jobber? Ah well, says Joe, handing round the booze. Thanks be to God they had the start of it. Drink that, citizen. I will, says he, honourable person. Health, Joe, says I, and all down the form. Ow, don't be talking. I was blue mouldy for the want of that point. Declare to God, I could hear it hit the pit of me stomach with a click.
And lo, as they quaffed their cup of joy, a godlike messenger came swiftly in. Radiant as the eye of heaven, a comely youth, and behind him there passed an elder of noble gait and countenance, bearing the sacred scrolls of law, and with him his lady wife, a dame of peerless lineage, fairest of her race.
We're gonna keep Conan for a bit of an encore to this confrontation scene. Now, Bloom goes to the shore. Now, maybe how many of you have been to Dublin? Raise your hands. It's a lot of you. Now, maybe you, like me, were surprised that on a sunny June day, Dublin has beaches, and they're actually quite lovely. And so Bloom in this next scene, Nausicaa, is reposing on a beach and is given to, shall we say, a flight of erotic reverie at the sight of a beautiful young Irish girl who is stretching herself out in a very languid manner, Cleopatra-like, on the beach, and to watch the fireworks display with her friends, and a different kind of fireworks ensues. Oh, by the way, we have a bit of wine if anyone's in the mood for a glass. It's open for everybody.
And they all looked, and it was sheet lightning, but Tommy saw two over the trees beside the church, blue and then green and purple. It's fireworks, Sissy Caffrey said. And they all ran down the strand to see over the houses and the church, helter-skelter, Eddie with the push car with baby Boardman in it, and Sissy holding Tommy and Jackie by the hand so they wouldn't fall running. Come on, Gertie, Sissy called. It's the bazaar fireworks. But Gertie was adamant. She had no intention of being at their beck and call. If they could run like Rossies, she could sit, so she said she could see from where she was. The eyes that were fastened upon her set her pulses tingling. She looked at him for a moment, meeting his glance, and a light broke in upon her. White hot passion was in that face, passion silent as the grave, and it had made her his. At last, they were left alone without the others to pry and pass remarks, and she knew he could be trusted to the death, steadfast, a sterling man, a man of inflexible honour to his fingertips. His hands and face were working, and a tremor went over her. She leaned back far to to look up where the fireworks were, and she caught her knee in her hands so as not to fall back looking up. And there was no one. There was no one to see, only him and her, when she revealed all her graceful, beautifully shaped legs like that, supplely soft and delicately rounded. And she seemed to hear the panting of his heart, his hoarse breathing, because she knew about the passion of men like that, hot-blooded, because Bertha Supple told her once in dead secret and made her swear she'd never tell about the gentleman lodger that was staying with them out of the congested districts board that had pictures cut out of papers of those skirt dancers and high kickers, and she said he used to do something not very nice that you could imagine sometimes in the bed. But this was altogether different from a thing like that, because there was all the difference, because she could almost feel him draw her face to his, and the first quick hot touch of his handsome lips. Besides, there was absolution so long as you didn't do the other thing before being married, and there ought to be women priests that would understand without your telling out. And Sister Caffrey too sometimes had that dreamy look in her eyes, so that she too, my dear, and Winnie Rippingham so mad about actors' photographs. And besides, it was on account of that other thing coming on the way it did.
On the dwarf wall, he climbed over the area's railings, compressed his hat on his head, grasped 2 points at the lower union of rails and stiles, lowered his body gradually by its length of 5 feet 9 inches and a half to within 2 feet 10 inches of the area pavement, and allowed his body to move freely in space by separating himself from the railings and crouching in preparation for the impact of the fall.
Did he fall?
By his body's known weight of 11 stone and 4 pounds in omnibus measure, as certified by the graduated machine for periodical self-weighing in the premises of Franson Fordman, pharmaceutical chemist of 19 Frederick Street North, on the last feast of the Ascension, to wit, the 12th day of May of a bisectile year, 1904 of a Christian era, Jewish era 5664, Mohammedan era 1322, golden number 5, APAC 13, solar cycle 9, domicile letter CB, Roman indication 2, Julian period 6617, MXMIV.
MXMIV. Did he rise uninjured by concussion?
Regaining new stable equilibrium, he rose uninjured through concussion by the impact, raised the latch of the area door by the exertion of force at its freely moving flange, and by leverage of a first kind applied its fulcrum, gained retarded access to the kitchen through the sub-adjacent scullery, ignited a lucifer match by friction, set free inflammable coal gas by turning on the vent cock, lit a high flame which, by regulating, he reduced her quietened cadence and lit finally a portable candle.
What discrete succession of images did Stephen meanwhile perceive?
Reclined discrete succession of images against area railings, and he perceived through the transparent kitchen panes a man regulating a gas flame of 14 CP, a man lighting a candle, a man removing in turn each of his 2 boots, a man leaving the kitchen holding a candle of 1 CP.
This final sentence is a special sentence that lasts approximately 45 pages. And it is the thoughts of Bloom's wife Molly in bed to herself, remembering and wondering and thinking especially about love and sex and her husband and her youth in Gibraltar. And so we have a few magnificent friends of Bloomsday who will share with us a little bit of Molly Bloom, beginning with Trish and Geraldine. Welcome.
You do know this has no punctuation at all, okay? So bear with us. Deep breath. Yes, because he never did a thing like that before as asked to get his breakfast in bed with a couple of eggs since the City Arms Hotel, when he used to be pretending to be laid up with a sick voice doing his highness to make himself interesting to that old faggot, Mrs. Reardon, that he thought he had a great leg of, and she never left us a farthing, all for masses for herself and her soul. Greatest miser ever was, actually afraid to lay out 4 shillings for her methylated spirit, telling me all her ailments. She had too much old chat in her about politics and earthquakes and the end of the world. Let us have a bit of fun first. God help the world. If all the women were her sort, down in bathing suits and low necks, of course, nobody wanted her to wear. I suppose she was pious, because no man would look at her twice. I hope I'll never be like her. I wonder she didn't want us to cover our faces. But she was a well-educated woman, certainly, and her gabby talk about Mr. Reardon here and Mr. Reardon there, I suppose he was glad to get shut of her, and her dog smelling my fur and always edging to get up under my petticoats. Especially then still, I liked that in him, polite to old women like that, and waiters and beggars too, he's not proud of nothing, but not always if ever he got anything really serious the matter with him. It's much better for them to go into a hospital where everything is clean. But I suppose I'd have to drink it into him for a month, yes, and then wed, have a hospital nurse next thing on the carpet, have him staying there till they throw him out, or a nun maybe, like the smutty photo he has.
She's as much a nun as I'm not yet, because they're so weak and puling when they're sick. They want a woman to get well. If his nose bleeds, you'd think it was tragic. And that dying-looking one off the South Circular, when he sprained his foot at the choir party at the Sugarloaf Mountain the day I wore that dress, Miss Stack, bringing flowers, the worst old one she could find at the bottom of the basket. Anything at all to get a man's bedroom with her old maid's voice, trying to imagine he was dying on account of her voice, trying to imagine he was dying on account of her voice, on account of her, to never see that face again, though he looked more like a man with his beard, a bit grown in. The bed feather was the same. Besides, I hate bandaging and dosing when he cut his toe with the razor, paring his corns, afraid he'd get blood poisoning. But if it was a thing, I was sick, then we'd see that attention. Only, of course, the woman hides it's not to give all the trouble they do. Yes, he came somewhere, I'm sure his appetite. Anyway, love, it's not, or he'd be off his feet thinking of her. So either was one of those nice women, if it was down there, who was really, and the hotel story, he made up a pack of lies to hide it. Planning in Hines kept me. Who did I meet? Ah, yes, I met. Do you remember? Mention. And who else? Let me see, that big baby face. I saw him, and he not long married, flirting with a young girl at Pooh's Mara, and turning my back on him when he slinked out, looking quite conspicuous. What harm, but he had the impudence to make up to me one time. Well done to him, mouth mighty, and his boiled eyes of all the big stupos I've ever met. And that's called a solicitor, only for I hate having a long wrangle in bed, or else, if it's not, that it's some little bitch or other he got in with somewhere, picked up that on that sly, if they only knew him well as I.
Panmelys, who has kept the fire of this bookshop burning alive now for 30 years, and 40 years, the great artist of Neuilly-sur-Seine and leader of the Sunday tea parties, and she will give us the final lines. Panmelys.
Well, I don't know. We don't know where they left off.
No, it's okay.
It's me, Panmelys, the tea lady on a Sunday afternoon from 4 to 6. But yes, so today I've changed because we're having something much more interesting. So now I don't know where I'm going to read from because we're all mixed up. We're just a crazy, mixed up crowd.
How far are you from the end there?
What do you think, yeah? What do you think I should read about it?
Probably yes, from here. Right. God knows.
Yes, that one?
Yes, from there to the end. Get it out of the way.
Every day is veiled in this is around the end part, the end bit, okay? You've got a book, it's 642. God knows it's not much, doesn't everybody only they... Oh, yes. So she's saying no. Oh, much about it. If that's all the harm ever we did in this veil of tears, God knows it's not much. Doesn't everybody? Only they hide it, I suppose. That's what a woman is supposed to do. Therefore, or he wouldn't have made us the way he did. So attractive to men. Then, if he wants to kiss my bottom, I'll drag open my drawers and bulge it right out in his face, as large as life. He can stick his tongue 7 miles up my hole. As he's there, my brown part, then I'll tell him I want £1, or perhaps 30 shillings. I'll tell him I want to buy underclothes. Then if he gives me that, well, he won't be too bad. I don't want to soak it all out of him like other women do. I could often have written him a fine cheque for myself and write his name on it for a couple of pounds. A few times he forgot to lock it up. Besides, he won't spend it until I'll let him do it off on me. Behind. I'd let it do it off on me behind, provided he doesn't smear all my good drawers. Oh, I suppose that can be helped. I'll do the indifference. 1 or 2 questions. I'll know by the answers when he's like that. He can't keep a thing back. I know every turn in him. I tighten my bottom well and let out a few smutty words.
Careful.
Smell rump or lick my shit, or the first mad thing comes into my head. Then I'll suggest about, yes, oh, wait now, Sonny, my turn is coming. I'll be quite gay and friendly over it. But I was forgetting this bloody pest of a thing. Poof! You wouldn't know which to laugh or cry. Which to laugh or cry was such a mixture of plum and apple. I don't know what she means there. No, I'll have to wear the old thing so much the better, till he more pointed, held, never know, yes, my eyesight is not good, never know where the old things, so much the better. All he more pointed, held, no, ever know whether he did it or not. There, that's good enough for you. Any old thing at all, whether he did it or not, then that's good enough for you, any old thing or not at all. Then I'll wipe him off me just like a business, his omission. Then I'll go out. I'll have him eyeing up at the ceiling. Where is she gone? Now, make him want me. That's the only way. A quarter after what an unearthly hour, I suppose. They're just getting up in China now, combing out their pigtails for the day. Well, we'll soon have the nuns
Ringing the engine.
ringing the Angelus. Soon have the rungs ringing the Angelus. They've nobody coming off. Oh, they've nobody coming off to spoil their sleep, except an odd priest or two for him, his night office, or the alarm clock next door, at cock shout, clattering the brains out of itself. Let me see if I can doze off. You remember, she's trying to get off to sleep. The whole thing sounds very muddled. The thing is things you have just when you're trying to get off to sleep. So all kinds of different imaginations are running through here. Doze off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What kind of flowers are those they invented, like the stars? The wallpaper in Lombard Street was much nicer. The apron he gave me was like that's something, only I only wore it twice. Better lower than the lamp. You see, she's not making much sense, only to herself. I'd better lower the lamp and try again. So, as I can get up early, I'll go to lamps there beside the Findlaters and get them in and get them to send me some flowers to put about the place in case he brings him home tomorrow. Today, I mean. No, Friday. An unlucky day. First, I want to do the place up something, the dust grows, place up some way. The dust grows in it, I think, while I'm asleep. Then we can have music and cigarettes. I can accompany him first. I must clean the keys of the piano with milk. What'll I wear? Shall I wear a white rose? Of those fairy cakes or like those fairy cakes in Lipton's. I love the smell of a rich big shop at 71 and tuppence a pound. Or the other ones with the cherries in them and the pinky sugar. I'd a couple of pounds of those, a nice plant for the middle of the table. I get that cheaper where was I saw? It was not long ago. I have flowers. I'd love to have the whole place swimming in roses. God of heaven, there's nothing like nature. The wild mountains, then the sea and the waves rushing, then the beautiful country with the fields of oats and wheat and all kinds of things. And all the fine cattle going about. That would do your heart good, to see rivers and lakes and flowers, all sorts of shapes and smells and colours springing up even out of the ditches, primroses and violets. Nature it is. As for them saying there's no God, I wouldn't give a snap of my 2 fingers for all their learning. They don't know. They go and create something. I often asked him, atheists, or whatever they call themselves, go and wash the cobbles off themselves first. Then they go howling for the priest, and they dying. And why? Because they're afraid of that hell on account of their bad conscience. Ah, yes, I know them well. Who was the first person in the universe before there was anybody that made it all? Who are? That they don't know. Neither do I. So there you are. They might as well try to stop the sun from rising tomorrow. The sun shines for you, he said, the day we were lying among the rhododendrons on House Head, in the grey tweed suit and his straw hat, and the day I got him to propose to me. Yes. First I gave him a bit of seed cake out of my mouth. And it was leap year, like now, yes, 16 years ago. My God, after that long kiss, I near lost my breath. Yes, he said, I was a flower of the mountain. Yes, we are flowers, flowers, all a woman's body. Yes, that was one true thing he said in his life. And the sun shines for you today. Yes, that was why I liked him, because I saw he understood or felt what a woman is. And I know I could go always round him, and I gave him all the pleasure I could, leading him on till he asked me to say yes. And I wouldn't answer first. only looked out over the sea and the sky. I was thinking of so many things he didn't know. Of Mulvey and Mr. Stanhope and Hester and father and old Captain Groves and the sailors playing All Birds Fly and I Say Stoop and washing up dishes. They called it on the pier, and the sentry in front of the governor's house with the thing round his white helmet. Poor devil, half roses, and the Spanish girls laughing in their shawls and their tall combs, and the auctions in the morning, the Greeks and the Jews and the Arabs and the devil knows who else from all the ends of Europe, and Duke Street and the fowl market, all clucking outside Larby Sharon's, and the poor donkeys slipping half asleep, and the vague fellows in the cloaks asleep in the shade on the steps, and the big wheels of the cars, of the bulls and the old castle, thousands of years old, yes, and those handsome Moors, all in white and turbans like kings, asking you to sit down in their little bit of a shop, and Rhonda with the old windows of the posados, two glancing eyes, a lattice hid for her lover to kiss the iron, and the wine shops half opened at night, and the castanets, and the night we missed the boat at Algeciras. The watchman going about serene with his lamp, and oh, that awful deep down torrent, oh, and the sea crimson sometimes, like that awful deep, no, like the fire, and the glorious sunsets, and the fig trees, all the Almeida gardens, yes, and all the queer little streets, and the pink and the blue and the yellow houses, and the rose gardens, and the jasmines, and the geraniums, and the cactuses, and Gibraltar as a girl, where I was a flower in the mountain, yes, when I put the rose in my hair, like the Andalusian girls use. Or shall I wear a red? Yes. And how he kissed me under the Moorish wall, and I thought, well him as another. And then I asked him with my eyes to ask again, yes. And then he asked me, would I? Yes, to say yes, my mountain flower. And first I put my arms around him, yes, and drew him down to me so he could feel my breasts, all perfume, yes, and his heart was going like mad, and yes, I said, yes, I will, yes. There we are. Don't forget that. Remember it, yes.
So we'll end with a song. Everyone has to sing a little bit. This is the song of Ulysses. It recurs to the book called Love's Old Sweet, Sweet Song. We passed out a couple of the words, and I'll teach it to you if you don't know it, and then we'll all sing it together. So if you don't think you know it, you've probably heard the tune. And the tune goes like this. It goes, we're just gonna do the chorus. Nice and short, simple and sweet. So it goes, just a song at twilight, when the lights are low, and the flickering shadows softly come and go. Though the heart be weary, sad the day and long, still to us at twilight comes love's old song, comes love's old sweet song. And then I say, ring loud the Bloomsday, and then we all say, ring loud the Bloomsday. Okay? Yes. Here we go. Are we all ready? Come with me, come on. I can't do this without you. Here we go, come here. Here we go. We're gonna do something.
Where are we?
A 1 and a 2 and a 3. Just a song at twilight, when the lights are low, and the flickering shadows softly come and go. Though the heart be weary, sad the day and long, still to us at twilight comes love's old song, comes love's old sweet song. Ring loud the Bloomsday! Ring loud the Bloomsday! Thank you all. Thank you for being here. And there's wine for who wants it.